There we go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first virtual story time. We're so happy to see you and to enjoy our story time and craft today. We're going to hand it over to Miss Patty. We're going to do a little bit of an introduction while people join us for story time. We hope you enjoyed the snow as much as we did this week.
Hi, friends. How are you doing out there? We are so happy that you came and joined us today. This is our very first time, so we're coming live. So we're just going to kind of do our thing, okay? Today, we're going to start out with a really fun story. How many of you like to get things through the mail? I'm going to be able to take off my mask because there's nobody around, and I think you can hear me better. So let me do that first. There I go. Hi, my friends. How many of you like to get mail? I love to get mail. I love cards. I love packages. Well, today our story is going to be about a little pig by the name of Owen who likes to send mail to his grandma. The title of the story today is A Giant Hug by Sandra Horning. And you can get this book right here at the library. I hope you enjoy it as I read it to you today. Let's begin. I know it's kind of hard for you to see the pictures, but I'll do the best I can. Okay. What would you like to send Granny for her birthday? Owen's mother asked one day. I want to send her a giant hug. He opened his arms as wide as he could to show how big of a hug he wanted to send. Do you want her to draw her a picture of the hug? Said his mother. No, said Owen. I want to send a real hug. I'll give the mailman a hug and ask him to take my hug to Granny. They gathered all their letters and they walked to the post office in town. Soon they got in front of the line and Mr. Nevins called out, Next! Owen said very quickly, I want to mail a hug to my Granny. Will you please send it? Well, we don't normally send hugs through the mail, but I suppose we could give it a try, said Mr. Nevins. Owen's mother wrote down Granny's address for Mr. Nevins. Owen walked behind the counter, opened his arms as wide as he possibly could, and gave Mr. Nevins a giant hug. Please make my hug just this big when it gets to my grandmother's house, said Owen. There is Owen hugging Mr. Nevins. Oh, I won't see the mailman who delivers the mail to your granny. I give it to Miss Porter, who sorts it out and puts it on a truck and goes to the big city. After that, it goes on a plane and flown all the way across the country, said Mr. Nevins. Well, you will have to hug Miss Porter then, said Owen, as Mr. Nevins carried the mail to Miss Porter. There's Mr. Nevins taking the mail to Mrs. Porter. Mr. Nevins looked down awkwardly at Miss Porter as he handed her the mail and the address of Owen's granny. He blushed a little bit and said, here's the hug. Mr. Nevin opened his arms as wide as he could and gave Miss Porter a hug. Miss Porter smiled and snorted a little. Just then the driver came to collect the mail bound for the big city. As the driver lifted the last heavy bag, Miss Porter said, Leroy, one more thing. Someone is sending a hug to his granny. Here is the address, and here is the hug. Miss Porter opened her arms as wide as she possibly could and gave Leroy a hug. Leroy laughed and said, Now that's a piece of mail you don't see very often. Leroy whistled his way to the big city. After unloading the mail, he checked the schedule to see who was driving the mail to the airport. It read James. Leroy found James in the break room eating his morning snack. Hi, James. I know it seems a little odd, but a hug is being sent to somebody's granny. Here is the address, said Leroy. Then Leroy opened his arms as wide as he could and gave James a giant hug. James cringed. He was not the hugging type, but he would do his job. Later that afternoon, James arrived at the airport. He asked the mail handler when the mail was going to be loaded onto the plane. That mail was taken to the plane a few minutes ago, the mail handler said. James rushed as fast as he could, where Captain Johnson was getting ready to board. Captain, a kid is sending a hug to his granny. Here is the address, and here is the hug. James opened his arms as wide as he possibly could and gave Captain Johnson a big hug. Now, isn't that a grand way for me to start out my trip? Captain Johnson said. When the plane landed, Captain Johnson walked to the airport post office. He saw Amanda standing next to the mail truck, looking very sad. Hello, are you driving the truck to the city today? Captain Johnson asked. Amanda nodded glumly. A hug is being sent through the mail, the captain said. Captain Johnson opened his arms as wide as he possibly could and gave Amanda a giant hug. Amanda brightened up and said, Well, thank you. She bobbed her head to the music as she drove down the street. After unloading the mail, Amanda went to find Chad, the driver taking the mail to Granny's town. Chad, a hug is being sent through the mail. Here is the address, and well, here's a hug, Amanda said as her face turned a little red. She was a little embarrassed. Amanda opened up her arms as wide as she possibly could and gave Chad a giant hug. Chad chuckled and said, Finally. He smiled at Amanda. Do you want to go dancing tonight? Oh, I love to, said Amanda. Chad kicked up his heels and hopped onto his truck. Early the next morning, Chad drove to Granny's town. As he prepared to return to the city, he remembered the hug. Who will be delivering the mail to Penside today? Chad asked the supervisor. Shelley, but she's not here yet, said Mrs. Greenberg as she replied, just adjusting her glasses. Please pass this along, Chad said. He opened his arms as wide as he possibly could and gave Mrs. Greensburg a giant hug. Mrs. Greensburg gasped with surprise, and her glasses kind of tilted to the side. Shelley, I need a word with you, Mrs. Greenberg called when Shelley arrived. A hug is being sent to a boy's granny, and you are the mail woman delivering it, Mrs. Greenberg said. Mrs. Greenberg opened her arms as wide as she possibly could and gave Shelley a big hug. Granny's going to be delighted, said Shelley. Shelley stopped to smell the flowers as she delivered the mail from door to door. She saw Granny outside in her garden. Miss Lewis, she called, I have a special delivery for you. Your grandson sent you a big hug. Shelley opened her arms as wide as she possibly could and gave Granny a giant hug. Granny grinned and said, That's the most wonderful piece of mail I ever got. You send that grandson of mine a big kiss. Granny puckered up her lips and gave Shelley a big, wet kiss. A couple days later, guess what happened? Can you see it, Owen? Can you see what's on his cheek? What do you think happened to that big kiss? Wasn't that a fun story about a little guy and his grandmom? I'm a grandmom and I read to my grandchildren every day. I am so happy that I'm reading with you today. Let's take a look at the craft we're going to make. Come on over. Okay, Mrs. Miss Shannon's going to help me move the craft table up so you can see what we're moving here. I hope many of you came into the library a couple of days ahead of time and got your activity kit. Inside your activity kit, if you have it, we can take it out and see what we have. Almost all the supplies you're going to need for today's craft. You should have in your kit a large envelope like this, an envelope that could be mailed. Also in your kit, you should have all kinds of fancy hearts. You might have a doily heart, you might have a colored heart, some paper hearts, even hearts with sprinkles on it. Also inside your kit, you should have a little package of all kinds of little tiny hearts. There should be a piece of ribbon. Now, in order to finish this craft, you might have to get some things from your home. From my house, I had to get some glue. Any kind of glue will do. You a glue or a glue stick. You might need a pair of small scissors, and might need to use a hole punch. So let's get started on our craft today. Mrs. Jarvis is going to be making the cap as I'm talking to you, so you can see what she comes up with. So I'm going to pass all the supplies over to Miss Jarvis. So excited to make a Valentine's Day. So this is going to be for Valentine's Day. Miss Jarvis is going to talk to you for just a second while I put my mask on, because it's very important that we keep our mask on when we come in close contact with other people.
If you missed the beginning of our story today, we're going to be putting the video up on our YouTube page today, later this afternoon. So if you want to hear the beginning of our story about Oscar and his mail, chime in on our YouTube page so you can see what happened first. For today, let's get started on our craft. Are you ready with your craft supplies?
Here we go. This is going to be a very simple craft, but you also need your imagination. If you can look up here already, you can see some of the things Miss Patty has already done. This is a very special one I want you to see. This is my little buddy JT. He's my grandson. He's 4 years old, and he is right in the middle of doing his craft. I practiced with him yesterday. So what you want to do is you want to take a heart, any size heart. Some of you have nice big hearts. Some of you have small hearts. Miss Jarvis has a variety of hearts, and she's getting started right now. So you take all your supplies, you take your big heart, whatever you want, your selection, and you begin to decorate them. Take a look at this heart that I made. I just took hearts and put them inside of hearts. I had a little sticker. All these things can be found right in your kit. So first thing you want to do is take your hearts out and decorate them. Decide what you think will look really pretty. This one I got carried away with the doilies. Take a look at all those doilies Miss Patty put on there. And I'm right in the middle. I'm going to add a message on there, I think. Probably something like, will you be my Valentine? My heart beats for you. I love Happy Valentine's Day. That's short and sweet. So you want to take your time and be as creative as you want. So I have like 3 different hearts here, and I'm just going to glue them right on top, just like that. That's what I did here. Then I put stickers on here. Take a look. Now, once you're done decorating your big envelope, this is going to be like a pocket for all your special Valentine treats. So if you look on the other side, you're going to take off the seal and you're going to glue it down. It already has some paste on it, but press it down.
And to put my hearts on the front, I'm going to turn it over to find the back so I can put my glue on the back of the heart to stick it to the envelope.
Okay. So she's busy doing that. Then, when you're done with that, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut off the top very carefully. Now, some of you are little, very little, and you haven't worked very much with scissors. This is something mom or dad or big brother or big sister can do. But some of you are older and you can do it yourself. Open it up inside. You have a big pocket, very big pocket. And then the last thing I did, I just put some holes at the top with my hole punch. You can do this with a hole punch or with scissors if you don't have it. Mrs. Jarvis, Miss Jarvis is over there working very hard on hers. We're going to see what she comes up with. And then you just want to thread your ribbon through to make a hanger. And then you tie them both through like this. So it almost looks like a picture. And you can hang it anywhere you want in your house. So on Valentine's Day, your mom, your dad, your friends, you, everybody can put your cards and your treats inside. And you have a special, special Valentine prize. Doesn't that seem like a great idea? So, very simple, very fun to do. It would be very nice if you would send your pictures to us at Huntsville Library right here in town so we can see all your pretty creations. Every week, we will have a kit with some special crafts in it. I hope you enjoyed our craft today. Let's see what Miss Jarvis has done.
All I need to do is put my ribbon on it to hang it on my door for some Valentines. I think it looks really nice.
I think it looks great.
I'll add some more glitter later.
We hope you had a great time with us today. We look forward to seeing you on the third Friday of the month when we'll be doing another story and another craft. Happy Valentine's Day!